To what is the will in bondage? That the will, contrary to what Luther argues in his greatest treatise, is not bound, is clear. We have already refuted the argument that, because the will is always beset with influences, that proves it is not free. Man, as Paul admits in his case, Romans chapter 7, verses 7 to 25, often fails to do what he would like to do, but not always. Paul doesn't say that he never can do what he wills, much less that his will is in bondage. Luther imagines he does away with the freedom of human will by arguing, "For if it is not we but God alone who works salvation in us, it follows that, willy-nilly, nothing we do has any saving significance prior to his working in us." Of course, salvation is not our doing, but that does not prove that we cannot freely receive the salvation which Christ wrought as a gift of God's love. Throughout his entire treatise, Luther confuses the ability to will with the ability to perform, and mistakenly imagines he has disproved the former by disproving the latter. Erasmus argues that for God to command man to do what he cannot do would be like asking a man whose arms are bound to use them. Luther responds that the man is commanded to stretch forth his hand, to disprove his false assumption of freedom and power. Luther wins that small skirmish, but neither man even comes close to the Bible. That God would not just command, but earnestly plead, persuade, and beseech man endlessly through his prophets, promising and giving blessing for obedience, and warning of and bringing destruction for disobedience, cannot be explained away by Luther's clever but trite rejoinder. Furthermore, we have numerous examples throughout Scripture of prophets and kings and ordinary persons, from Enoch to Noah to Abraham to David and onward, who, though not perfect, were indeed willingly obedient to God and pleased him. What happened to Luther's bondage of the will in those cases? The book of Proverbs is one huge treatise refuting Luther's thesis. Solomon is appealing to his son to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. He declares that a wise man will hear, and will increase learning. Verse 5. And he admonishes his son, "If sinners entice thee, consent thou not." Verse 10. He exhorts, "My son, despise not the chastising of the Lord, neither be weary of his correction. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth, even as a father the son in whom he delighteth." Chapter 3, verses 11 and 12. Are these persuasive urgings not appeals to the will? Everything Solomon writes is to persuade his son that wisdom is to be desired in place of folly, and that the reward for serving God and righteousness far exceeds the reward for serving selfish lusts and desires. One must willingly heed the voice of wisdom. That the Lord corrects as an earthly father corrects is not, as Luther insists, simply to show that no correction is possible, but because the wise son will heed instruction, which is obviously only possible by an act of the will. Luther fails either to prove the bondage of the will, or to demonstrate what it is that has the will bound.